What turns men off the with woman they live with? Overhearing her share intimate details of our sex life / my body with her friends. This was a huge point of contention with my last ex. I tried to explain to her that it didn't matter, that she was only saying good things. She wasn't. I'm not perfect, and don't expect to be, but even if it was only praise, that it's a violation of my privacy and I wasn't okay with it, and she doesn't get to describe my body to people I barely know. Unsurprisingly, she crossed about every boundary I had, and I'll let her do it. She ended up being a massively terrible person who caused me a lot of pain. Girl talk is an excuse for a lot of women to disregard the feelings of their partners, and it's more common than it should be. I hate always being the person who has to spice it up and plan things. I like to be surprised once in a while too. If things are getting stale, you own half of that, but I never get the impression you feel that way. Man, this applies to everything. I love doing romantic gestures, celebrating birthdays, Valentines, little surprises here and there. I'm a hopeless romantic at heart. However, every woman I've dated doesn't reciprocate. It's turned me off. It's so bad I don't even try anymore. Bare minimum unless I see some effort coming back. Maybe I need to date better women. IDK, I kinda blame this on princess syndrome. You'll see young girls in your family getting raised just things getting handed to them constantly. Everyone bends over backwards. Everyone walks on eggshells around them. Especially with single children. Siblings usually forces people to learn how to share the limelight. Completely conjecture on my part, but it does seem to be a common thread that some women will receive and won't reciprocate. Expressing gratitude isn't always enough. No tenderness. Going into rumored mode. When she doesn't leave me alone sometimes, it's not like she's bothering me, but sometimes I'll see she's busy, so I'll start something. But then she decides she's bored and wants to engage with me, but I'm halfway through a show or playing a game or something. This all day. If I always have to initiate physical stuff, if she doesn't understand that we don't always have to be going out, if she expect me to be assertive all the time, her sharing details of our sex life, insecurities to the point I'd have to constantly reassure her as if I never do enough, and everything I did in the past already forgotten after one day. It's an enormous source of stress and mental toll to have to justify myself every day. Between partners and roommates, I've had by far the biggest is avoiding direct conversations. If a guy roommate has a problem, most of the time he'll just say, "Hey, could use this?" I say yep, no problemo, and we go about our lives. Women turn it into such a big ordeal a lot of times. Passive aggression, cold shoulder, slamming doors, etc. God, I hate the storming off, door slamming histrionics. It's a shitty childish ploy to get you to chase them and apologize. F that. So over it. Never again. Act uninterested while trying to get towards the act of sex. You aren't into me and it shows. Or being lazy about sex. Don't be lazy. Because most of the time, they are uninterested and just tolerate it for you. And that is not on a woman. That is on your lazy ass. I have never met a woman who wouldn't turn into a horny beast when a man truly put some thought and effort into turning her on. And no, awkwardly French kissing her out of the blue is not turning her on. It's disgusting. It's not always on the man's inadequacy. You see posts all the time from men who literally carry the household single-handedly and it still happens. Both members of a partnership have to be accountable. It's almost like household chores have nothing to do with attraction. Oh god. He's mopping the floors so seductively. And if you think that it does, reverse the roles. Have you ever found yourself attracted to a woman because she's washing dishes? Or paying bills? Not because of how she looks like, not because of her voice, personality, laughter, or whatever, but because she's washing dishes or paying the electricity bill? I bet you didn't. So why should she? Yes, I find my wife attractive when she's cooking, cleaning, or doing whatever else. Responsibility and maturity is an attractive trait. If women can't do basic adulting, and don't get this twisted, this applies to men too. But whenever I hear women infantilize themselves where they don't know how to have good hygiene, to cook, clean, laundry, pay bills, not be a slob, that is gross to me. If guys act this way I think they are bums, but whenever I meet women who act like this, I think the same damn thing. I don't give a f what excuses you have. I don't give a f how attractive you are, how big your boobs or are, if you weren't taught, if you think it's oppressive. Blah blah blah. That is bullshit to me. I'm not interested in your incompetence. Don't be a lazy bum. This is basic F adulting. In hindsight, this was ultimately the main reason why I broke up with my ex. I felt like her dad, not her partner. Did she have ADHD? Had a girl that would leave the bathroom door open whilst having a shite, then attempt to carry on a conversation with me. She would also leave her leg razor in the shower still full of hair. What if the razor is clean? Can it stay in the shower? I always rinse mine completely and it's stored out of the way, but still in the shower. Totally fine. Triangulating off your friends. If something is wrong or annoying you, talk to your partner. Don't whip the hen house into a frenzy. Nobody wins. Triangulating off your friends? Yeah, some women do this thing, where they complain about all your friends until you reduce contact or leave them entirely. Some men fall for this, and often return to the group after a breakup. I'll start with the obvious. Nagging, entitlement, disrespect, double standards, and being ungrateful. Assuming both parties are generally good people and good partners. Gratitude is sorely lacking in a lot of relationships. I was brought up to thank mom for cooking and that stuff, while dad got the big piece of chicken. Dad was to be appreciated and respected. You don't see that much anymore. Now men can be the same too, but we are talking specifically about women. There's way too much he can take it. He's a man. That's the wrong attitude, where he can very well take it. He shouldn't have to. However, and for whatever reason this attitude has become so prevalent, to the point I've seen and heard women saying that basic civility, kindness and tact to a man is babying him. So many women talk to their man in ways that, if he spoke to her like that she'd slap him and leave. But he's expected to deal with it out of love, and because he's a man, well, that behavior poisons a relationship, kills love. Speak to your man positively instead of telling him what you hate. Tell him what you like. Want him to shave or not? Tell him you think he's prettier with/without the facial hair. Compliment him on a job well done. If you want him to do more chores, tell him you like how he does this or that. Or watching a man do domestic stuff is such a turn on, and watch him get up and do the dishes. Every once in a while, tell him you appreciate his contributions. What he does matters. He needs to hear it. Also, you're a team, it's not a competition. It shouldn't be me vs you. It needs to be us vs the problem. Even if that problem is one of our behaviors. Many women are abusive and don't realize it. They'll hit a man in the insecurities when losing a fight. Since they aren't physically assaulting him, they think it's all well and good. But just like him hitting you is one of the worst and most painful things he can do. You hitting below the belt like that is the most painful thing you can do. In essence, it's the same thing. You're doing the worst thing you can to one another. Never weaponize his pain, trauma, insecurities. If you're wrong, if you're losing a fight, just be wrong. It's okay. You're human just like us, and it's okay to not be perfect. I've got many more, but that's it for now. Preach, brother. I can sum this up for most men. When my first marriage was on the rocks, my wife and I were sitting with a couples therapist. That therapist handed each of us a legal pad and a pen. She asked us each to list all of the things we would like to change about our partner. My wife sat there writing furiously, while I never even picked up the pen. When she was done, my wife looked up with a satisfied look on her face, but the therapist looked at me. She asked why I hadn't written anything. I pointed to the legal pad in my wife's hand and said, "The only thing I would change about my wife is that F list. We agreed to divorce once we left her office. That doesn't seem like a good method to get couples to cooperate, lol. Right? That seems like the therapist was setting them up for a bigger fight. Maybe the therapist knew it was closer than it is too far, and they were in too deep. Better to rip the band-aid off. Maybe not what you want from a couples therapist, lol. No. Same happened to me. She wrote a novel about what she wanted in our relationship, and I wrote that I wanted to spend more time with the family doing activities. Couples therapy is mostly about man hating emo. Neediness. I'll give my attention to her. but it can't be 100%. If I can't devote any time to my purpose, and she needs frequent reassurance of everything, then she's being parasitic and should find someone else. Please make sure the toilet is properly flushed. So many women don't do this, and if I use it afterwards and make an unwanted discovery, it's a massive turn off. Lol, 6 months into dating my BF I pooped and forgot to flush because I was going in the shower and planned to flush it after, so he didn't know I was pooping. Forgot to flush it and he discovered it shortly after. I was mortified. We've been dating 2.5 years though, so I guess it didn't turn him off too bad. Brosif, I dropped a turd in my last GF's bathroom that's never used. Forgot to flush it and didn't realize it was in there until I visited a few days later. That restroom was close to her kid's room and one of them wets the bed sometimes, so it doesn't smell super fresh all the time. They only visited once every other week, so that bathroom could sit unused for days or weeks. After a few hours chilling, I decided to use the restroom while she was getting ready for our date in her restroom. Opened the door and was hit in the face with an awful stench. That S had been stewing in there for 4 days. Layer of grease on the top of the water. Pretty sure that was partly what weighed in on her dumping me. Plus I tried to blame her kids. Her lack of sex drive. I hate asking for it and hearing reluctance in her voice. Then she lacked like she wants to do it, and it makes me feel like a creep. To make it worse, I will be turned off and then pissed off because she has no desire for sex and we go round and round. I can see why people get divorced because of the differences in sex drive. It makes me feel unwanted and neglected. Hey Jude, I mean this in the best way possible, but you need to talk to her about this. If she's reluctant every time you try, then it's not a good sign at all. Women usually have a crazy sex drive, more than us sometimes. She might be acting like she wants to because she doesn't want you to feel hurt. A+ on picking up her feelings, but F on interpretation. I'm just a stranger on the internet. You should probably visit a sex therapist / do some research on spicing up the bedroom if you want a healthy, happy sex life. I see a therapist and she does not. I'm pretty sure that her lack of drive is because of her weight gain and she's embarrassed. I try to stay positive with her, make her feel good about herself, but she's the only one that can help her there. Speak to her about it then. Sane women love it when their partner talks about these things. They can feel the effort you're putting in and love you more for looking at things in their perspective. You can help her out too if you feel it's weight related. There's nothing she needs more than you showing you love her regardless. It may be annoying to reassure her or her clinginess, but once she gets it, you'll see a whole transformed woman. Have you tried doing sensory sex? In a very non-kinky and super romantic way. Had these issues with my ex and was recommended to just blindfold her and kiss her all over, especially the fluffy bits. It's nicer if you say some sweet words. She might cry though, fair warning, apparently it's a pretty famous trope in all the romance books they read. Although I hate that we as a society are making our women feel so ashamed about this that they need so much more reassurance to just live and enjoy basic human activities. Constant rejection / dead bedroom. Nagging. Expecting things to be done on her schedule or immediately upon the request leaving her mouth. Not knowing what she wants for dinner and generally being a rest communicator. Women love to talk about what great communicators they are, but that's only when they talk to other women. It seems none of them know how to communicate with a man. Talking to me while I'm reading. Grrrrrrr. When she unilaterally decides what all the chores are, who should do them, and when. Starts to incessantly nag me about my failure to do precisely half of them as the initial conversation on the subject. Even worse when she uses sexual denial as a weapon of mass manipulation to get me to capitulate to her demands. Or when you regularly do more chores than her, but one day she decides it's chores day and gets annoyed if you don't change your plans to also do chores, even though you already do way more than she does. Oh yeah. I had one that lost her mind when I tried to explain my Monday through Friday job left me too mentally drained to do certain chores outside of the weekend.